Hello, everyone. I am Bob DeMarzo, the content leader with the MSP Summit and channel partners, here with my good friend David Raffo, the MSP 501 editor. We are kicking off this welcome guide, I would say featured session, Dave, on the MSPs to watch. So, welcome to the welcome guide, Mr. Raffo.
Yeah, great to be here, especially to talk about the MSPs to watch. Exciting addition this year to the welcome guide and the conference.
Dave, let's kick off. A couple things. The welcome guide serves a kind of as a guide to people that are coming to the event to understand what to expect and really highlight what to do. I would say number one thing they should do is seek out anybody on the MSP 501 list and the MSP to watch list. But you put a lot of time and effort into elevating and changing things up this year to make the MSPs to watch even more prestigious at the event. Tell us what's new with the MSPs to watch and why people should track these great MSPs down at the event.
Yeah, so the background on the MSPs to watch is, every year when we do the 501, revenue is a big part, it's a big metric, and we have a cutoff to make, the top, depending on the average revenue for the applicants, et cetera. So we have a revenue cutoff. And then we notice that, there's a lot of companies that don't make that cutoff, especially as the cutoff gets bigger every year. It's not that small anymore. So we see a lot of MSPs that they have the other metrics. They have good growth, revenue growth. They have high recurring revenue. They have profitability. They're pouring money back into the business. So we see a lot of these companies that we think have all the other metrics. They don't have the revenue, the revenue ceiling or the revenue floor. So we say, we want to honor them as well. A lot of these companies would make the 501 with their other metrics if they hit the cutoff. So, we think they're worth calling out. And we have 130 of them this year.
So there's 130 that will make the list and that will be publishing on the MSP Summit site. In addition to that, there's many MSPs to watch that have been invited that'll be here at the MSP Summit. Dave, I think for vendors and partners alike, there's a large number of reasons why they would want to meet these folks. As you said, number one, they're fast growing. Number two, they meet all the attributes of an MSP 501. So from quality of revenue, a threshold of managed services, all of the key metrics that we judge the 501s on. These companies are, like you said, just as powerful as any MSP 501. So they can represent a great avenue of growth for any of the vendors and suppliers that are here. And I think for any of the larger MSP 501ers, they're a great partner to help break into new accounts or do some collaboration with, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We look at this like these are MSPs that have a really good chance of being on the 501 within the next couple of years. And some of them actually have been on the
Yeah.
501, but then because of the revenue cutoff grew so much this year, they dropped out. But like we said, they're just as they're scaling at the same level as the 501.
Yeah. One of the things I would say that defines these organizations to me, Dave, is their exceptionalism, right? These are still exceptional managed service providers that are out there. Like we said, they probably punch well above their weight, to borrow a little boxing cliche. I would also say that they really represent, for the most part, the future of the MSP business, right? These are companies that in many cases are up and coming, young ownership, and without a doubt, represent, I would say, the hyper growth MSPs that are in the industry. And I would imagine they're focused on some of the cutting edge technologies too, Dave, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody's focused on like AI, but cyber, they're focused on the same, their profile is very similar to the 501 company, except for, if there's one difference, it's usually like employee count, right? They're smaller. A
Sure.
lot of times there's still companies that are just growing and they'll be scaling their head count in the coming years as their revenue scales.
Yeah, I'll end with this. As part of the MSP 501 program, these companies undergo the same rigorous proprietary methodology review. They're evaluated on revenue mix, quality, as you said, recurring revenue percentages, revenue per employee, efficiency, year over year growth, Dave. So, very solid companies. I think from the standpoint of anybody watching this, whether you're a vendor or a partner, please make sure you take time to find the MSPs to watch, whether at the networking events that we have throughout the event or a special session that we're going to have on the theater floor, moderated by one of our board members, that's featuring the MSPs to watch. So on behalf of the entire MSP Summit team, Dave Raffo and I are wishing you the very best. Please enjoy the conference. I hope you not only meet the MSPs to watch, but all of the great MSPs and the MSP 501s that are here. Thanks very much, everybody.